The Knicks take on the Cavs, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in Cleveland. The Knicks are minus 2.5, totals 200 even. The Cavs are plus 120 on the money line. We're 3-0 in our last three extra daily picks on patreon.com/Brock Page. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. Now, we currently have over 950 members signed up and active on that Patreon page. If you want to check it out, and link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. Now, the Knicks are on a 4-game losing streak, 0-4 against the number in those losses. New York scoring just 98 points a game on the road, and they rank in the bottom 10 in shooting the 3-ball. Now, Burks, Bullock, and Gibson are questionable. Ntilikina is out. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who's leading the NBA in defensive points allowed. The Cavs are allowing just 104 points per contest at any location. Cleveland also ranks in the top 10 in home defensive rebounding. Now, Andre Drummond's been upgraded to probable. That is certainly good news there. He's responsible for 18 points a game along with 15 boards and 3 assists. The center is also averaging 2 blocks and a couple of steals a night defensively as well. Meanwhile, Sadie Osman is averaging over a dozen a night himself, 4 rebounds and 4 assists for the 6'7" forward. The Cavs lead the NBA in defensive... let's try that again. The Cavs lead the NBA defensively in fourth quarter points allowed. Sorry, little brain cramp there. Anyway, total-wise, Cleveland's 4-1 to the under at home, 10-2 to the under overall for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Knicks saw 5 out of their last 6 on the road stay under the line themselves, 9-3 to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Cavs plus 2.5 and the under 200. And before we go ahead and move on, guys, just want to take, just actually have a question for you. Did you know that there's another opportunity for you to engage with my daily content, even if I don't make a video that day? That's right, patreon.com/Brock Page is where you can access daily premium sports picks, regardless of whether I make a YouTube video that day or not. The plays on my Patreon page, they're my personal plays, games that I personally have action on, and basically out of all the free leans and picks I give you here on this YouTube channel, you actually get to find out what games I actually have my money on that site. Now, some folks will play all my personal games, some will play a few, some will just compare their picks to mine. But however you end up deciding how to use my picks, we have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. A lot of great variety, a lot of different price points. We sell picks for as low as $1.99 on that site. And once again, guys, we are currently 3-0 in our last 3 extra daily picks on that page. And it's just $2.99 to access that extra daily pick. So if you want to join the 950 plus members who are signed up and active on that page right now, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. And moving on, guys, we're going to take a look at some more NBA action here on a Friday. Happy Friday to you. The weekend is finally here. Let's take a look at the Magic versus the Celtics, 7:30 p.m. East at the Garden. Boston's minus 3.5, totals 215 and a hook. Boston's 3-1 straight up at home, 3-1 against the number in those contests at the Garden. The Celtics are also on a 4-game winning streak, and they covered 5 out of their last 7. Now, Boston is in the top 5 in shooting the 3-ball, top 3 in defensive rebounding. Now, Jaylen Brown and Daniel Tice have been upgraded to questionable for tonight's action, so we may see them in limited roles. Brown's averaging, what is he averaging? Over 26 points a game, along with 6 boards and 4 assists. Brown's also averaging 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Marcus Smart is also scoring over a dozen a game himself. 3 boards and 6 assists for the point guard. Now, Tatum's out along with a handful of other guys, so don't get me wrong. There's a couple key guys who we're not going to see. But I got to tell you, the Celtics team has so much quality depth. This 3.5 number at home seems to hold some pretty good value to me. That's just in my opinion. Now, they are taking on a struggling Magic team who's on a 3-game losing streak themselves. and they failed to cover the number in 5 out of their last 7. Now, Orlando scores just 106 points a game, and they rank in the bottom 3 in offensive field goal percentage. Meanwhile, defensively, as good as these guys have been, they give up a ton of points on the road, 117 of them to be exact. Their opponents are also making nearly 51% of their field goals and nearly 40% of their three-pointers when Orlando's on the road. Now, total-wise, Orlando's 4-1 at the over away from home. Meanwhile, Boston saw 4 out of their last 6 get over the line themselves. Throwing out the Washington game, I'm going to lean toward the Boston Celtics minus 3.5 and the over 215 on a hook. All right, next contest, it is going to be Mavs-Bucks, 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off at the Fiserv Forum. The Bucks are minus 6, numbers 228 flat. Once again, the Bucks are minus 6, numbers 228 flat. Milwaukee's 5-1 straight up at home this season. First in scoring, first in defensive field goal percentage on their home court. Giannis Antetokounmpo is scoring over 26 points a game, 10 boards and 6 assists for the Greek Freak. Meanwhile, Chris Middleton scoring 22 points a night himself, 6 boards and 6 assists for the forward. Milwaukee scores 123 points a night at home, and they connect on nearly 43% of their three balls. They're taking on a Mavs squad who's got Richardson, Powell, Kleba, Finney-Smith, and Brunson all on the injury report. The Mavs are in the bottom 10 in scoring as well as being in the bottom 10 in offensive three-point percentage. Now, total-wise, Dallas's last 2 straight both stayed under the number, 6-2 to the under in their last 8. Meanwhile, the Bucks' last 3 straight contests stayed under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Bucks minus 6 and the under 228. All right, next ball game. It is going to be Bulls versus the Thunder, 8 p.m. Eastern start time in OKC. The Bulls are minus 1 on the road, totals 221 flat. And despite several losses over the past week or so, the Bulls are on one heck of an ATS run right now. They've been awesome against the spread. And really, when it comes to betting, that's all that matters. 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 straight, 8-1 against the number in their last 9. Now, the Bulls are scoring over 117 points a night on the road, and they rank in the top 3 in offensive field goal percentage. And the good news, guys, we might see a Lauri Markkanen sighting here tonight. Markkanen should be available for tonight's contest. Porter and Temple are looking ready to play as well. But Zach LaVine, man, what a player. 28 points a game for Chicago, 5 rebounds and 5 assists for the shooting guard. Meanwhile, Kobe White's also scoring over 17 a night himself, along with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Chicago's in the top 5 in the NBA in scoring, top 10 in shooting the 3-ball. They're taking on an OKC squad who's yet to win a game at home this season. They've been horrible on their home court. They also went just 1-4 against the spread in those 5 home losses. OKC scores just 99 points a game this season at the Chesapeake, and they rank dead last in the NBA in home free throw percentage. Now, Baisley, Jerome, and Ariza, they're all on the report here. And when it comes to the total, 2 out of OKC's last 3 ball games got over the number. Chicago saw their last 3 straight get over the line themselves. The Bulls also went 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Bulls minus 1 and the over 221. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Grizzlies versus the T-Wolves, 8 p.m. East in Minnesota. The T-Wolves are minus 2, totals 224.5. Minnesota's just 1-8 straight up in their last 9, 2-7 against the number in those ball games. Minnesota's giving up 119 points per contest, and they rank in the bottom 10 in scoring. Now, Layman, Rubio, and Hernan Gomez are out. Okogie and Towns are questionable. They're taking on a Memphis squad who's on a 3-game heater themselves. 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as well. The Grizzlies have played very well on the road thus far. 4-1 straight up and against the spread in their 5 games away from home. Memphis gives up just 105 points a game when they travel, and they rank in the top 10 in the NBA in offensive rebounding. Now, there's also a chance we could see a Ja Morant sighting. We could see potentially Ja Morant back in action here tonight. He's been upgraded to questionable, battling that ankle injury. But what can I say? Dylan Brooks, he's scoring 17 points a night, 4 boards and 3 assists for the shooting guard. Brooks is also getting a couple of steals a night on the defensive end. Meanwhile, big man Jonas Valanciunas, He's scoring 15 points a game himself, 11 rebounds, couple assists for the center. Memphis is in the top 10 in the association in defending the three ball. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, 5 out of the Grizzlies' last 7 stayed under the posted number, 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Minnesota saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with the Grizzlies stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Memphis Grizzlies +2 and the under 224.5. All right, next contest I have for you, it is going to be Hawks versus the Jazz. 9 p.m. Eastern start time in Utah. The Jazz are -6, totals 226.5. The Jazz won their last 3 straight, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7. Utah leads the NBA in offensive rebounding, and they hold their opponents to just 106 points per contest. Derek Favors has been upgraded to probable for Utah. Donovan Mitchell, he's been scoring nearly 24 points a night, 4 boards and 5 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Mike Conley's also scoring over 17 a night himself, along with 4 boards and 6 assists. Utah's in the top 3 in defensive rebounding at home as well. They're taking on an Atlanta squad who lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games, and they rank in the bottom 3 in offensive field goal percentage. Now, Rondo and Okungwu are questionable. Gallinari and Bogdanovic are still out. Total-wise, Atlanta's last 6 straight stayed under the number, 80% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Jazz, they are 3-1 to the under in their last 4 themselves. A perfect 3-0 to the under on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz, -6, and the under 226.5. All right, next matchup I have for you. Out on the West Coast, California matchup here. I'm talking about the Clippers versus the Kings, 10 p.m. East. The Clippers are -7 in Sacramento, totals 227.5. The Clippers won their last 2 straight, 6-3 straight up in their last 9. LA leads the league in three-point percentage and free throw shooting. Paul George is scoring over 25 points a game, 6 boards and 6 assists for George. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard's also scoring 25 points a night himself, 5 rebounds and 6 assists for the NBA champ. Kawhi's also averaging a couple of steals a night defensively. Now, LA's in the top 3 in defensive rebounding on the road. They are taking on a Kings squad who just lost 6 out of their last 8. They also went just 2-6 against the spread in those ball games. Sacramento gives up 123 points a night at home, and they rank dead last in the NBA in points allowed and defensive field goal percentage. Ramsey, Hield, Jeffries, and Parker, they're all on the injury report. And when it comes to the total in this one, Sacramento's last 2 straight got over the posted number, 7-2 to the over in their last 9. Meanwhile, the Clippers saw their last 2 straight get over the total themselves, 5-3 to the over in their last 8. I'm going to lean toward the LA Clippers -7 and the over 227.5. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Pelicans Lakers, 10 p.m. Eastern start time in LA. The Lakers are the 10.5 point favorite. Totals 219, juice to the under. And if you like the Pels in an upset at the Staples Center here, they're plus 350 for some money line cash. Now, the Pelicans have covered 3 out of their last 6 ball games. Despite a bit of a skid here recently, they haven't really been playing their best basketball over the past week or so. But they got a couple covers in there, so still doing okay against the point spread. New Orleans also leads the NBA in defensive rebounding, and they also rank in the top 5 in offensive rebounding as well. They're giving up just 102 points a game when they travel. Brandon Ingram scoring 24 points a game, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists for the forward. Meanwhile, Zion Williamson's also scoring 22 points a game himself, along with 8 rebounds. The Pels are in the top 3 defensively in points allowed on the road. They're taking on a Lakers team who may have to go to work tonight without AD, LeBron, and Caldwell Pope. All are questionable. Of course, I think all 3 of those guys are listed as questionable like every night. But anyway, they're on the report, so you got to consider it. You got to keep an eye on them. The Lakers are also just 2-4 against the spread at home, and they failed to cover the number in 3 out of their last 5, throwing out the OKC game. LA is giving up 112 points per contest on their home court as well. And when it comes to the number in this one, 2 out of LA's last 3 ball games stayed under the line, 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Pels have gone 4-1 to the under when they travel themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog New Orleans Pelicans plus 10.5 and the under 219. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are a perfect 3-0 in our last 3 extra daily picks on that site. And it's only $2.99 to access today's extra daily pick, by the way. I like the Cavs plus 2.5 under 200. I like the Celtics minus 3.5 over 215 on a hook. I'm leaning toward the Bucks minus 6 under 228. I also like the Bulls minus 1 over 221. I like the Grizzlies plus 2 under 224.5. I also like the Jazz minus 6 under 226.5. I'm leaning toward the Clippers minus 7 over 227.5. And before I give you this last game, please go ahead and smash that thumbs up button right now if you agreed or disagreed with any of my quick picks that you just heard. Give me the New Orleans Pelicans plus 10.5 and the under 219. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into some shout-outs. And from our YouTube platform, shout out to Jamie Wong, Jeffrey Ramirez, Don Bainham, JG Alvarado, Conscious Queen, Stony Boy, Peter Griffin, Mexico's Tapia, Green Light Incorporated, and last but certainly not least, gotta give a shout out to my men, just one, it's just one of them. Gotta give a shout out to my man, Ben Elkinney. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. Also, keep in mind if you end up getting a package here today, all the cheaper, lesser expensive memberships are included with your purchase. So you're going to be able to access the content on all the cheaper, lesser expensive memberships. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Hopefully I wasn't too robotic for you. But anyway, what is it? Friday. Happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.